Good evening. My name is Kim Eldon. I'm the program manager for the Civil War Defenses of Washington. A portion of that proposed area we're talking about runs along the entire, that connects the Civil War fort from Fort Slocum over to Fort Totten. And so that's why I'm here tonight to talk about that portion of Fort Totten that is running alongside this proposed trail for the Map Bike Trail. My colleague.
Hi, I'm Nick Bartolomeo. I'm the Chief of Resource Management at Rock Creek Park, which administers the area, this National Park Service area up here. It's my job to work with natural resources and historic resources, as well as planning in the park.
Now, can you reiterate the area you used to be dealing with?
Is it that part of blue, maybe?
What area?
So
We were talking earlier, colleagues, about the
What area?
environmental assessment and how at the time that it was completed, we picked the alignment that goes on the street and because there were concerns about going to the park, so you can get into about that and how we are willing to take another look at that.
My question was, what area that you mentioned really specifically, because we were trying to focus just on the area from the church down to Reedsburg. You said something about Fort Slocum.
So Fort Totten is where the proposed trail is going. So that's why we're here, because we're now talking about Park Service land.
Yeah,
versus
right.
district land.
I wonder if I could use the map to orient ours as residents, since it's easier.
Okay.
It might be easier to orient all of us. I'm sorry, now. It's
No,
just
no.
easier to just show everybody.
Not a problem.
So what Kim just mentioned is this area here. So we completed, thank you, in what's called an environmental assessment. It's a document where we look at the impacts of a proposed action. Some years ago, I think, there you go. And in that document, the Park Service, working with DDOT, chose a route for the Metropolitan Branch Trail, which runs from downtown to Silver Spring, as through, as Jim and Mike told you, through Fort Totten Park, which Kim and I help administer. So the route that's going to be built right now runs south here from below by Catholic University, up Fort Totten over the Green Line, down here to First Place, up to Briggs Road, and then it goes on the street alignment that Jim was mentioning earlier. This part is going to be a physical trail through Park Service property. This section up here is going to be an interim route on the road, which you guys have been discussing prior to when I got here tonight. What the Park Service has agreed to do is revisit this decision. Now, when this was made, this was before my time, before Kim's time here, the decision was made in this environmental assessment to not pursue a route along the CSX tracks up here, crossing New Hampshire and through the community garden. What we've decided to do is, looking at the situation, is to revisit that decision. And there's a couple reasons why. First off, it's the Park Service's intention through new leadership to get people into the parks, to bring folks from their neighborhoods into National Park Service areas. So we feel that this is an opportunity where we can revisit a decision to bring people into an area of the park that honestly is seldom used, and that we do have a lot of issues with dumping and folks, doing stuff back there that they probably shouldn't. So having a trail through this area here that would be looked at, examined, what route we decide is yet to be determined, I think would help a lot in making that area safer, bringing people into the parks, and maintaining it better, because DDOT would assume responsibility for whatever trail would run through this area. Therefore, they would maintain that area around the trail. So this is the section that we're looking at revisiting, between here up to, Jim, am I right?
Yeah,
About here? Right. So that process would involve another environmental assessment, which is a planning document that the Park Service used, and to look at all the impacts of what it would take to actually construct a trail on some alignment to be determined through this area here, up past the community garden and past Oglethorpe.
Now, is there to be, are you contemplating an assessment of the land that runs from Oglethorpe down to Biggs Road? That's the only area that we're interested in.
The blue area.
So,
No,
yeah.
not up that high, not
Not
that
that
far
high.
down.
So here's Oglethorpe, where This is the area here that we're gonna re-examine, this area right here.
And my question is, an assessment, when are you gonna do an assessment for that area between, New Hampshire Avenue and Riggs Road?
This is part of what we're talking about. This is what we will re-examine under this environmental
Yes,
assessment.
and my question is, when would that be re-examined?
Well, it's up to DDOT when they have funding to do this. The Park Service is willing to cooperate. The Metropolitan Branch Trail is a District of Columbia facility. It's not a National Park Service facility. And so the District of Columbia would be responsible for creating this document. We, as the Park Service, as the landowners, would cooperate with them on this. But it would be the district's funding, it's the district's timetable for making.
I'm not seeing it.
So Fort Slocum is over here, so you're thinking, how would we make this connection here? That's something that we can look at. I think that it would be good to have a, and in fact, in the management plan for Civil War defenses of Washington Fort Circle Parks, we do discuss a trail that connects these areas. So that's something that we can keep as a part of the examination in this environmental assessment.
You said you wanted to get people in the park.
We do.
Okay, I've been up here since '56. Nobody, we used to call it Raised Woods because, we didn't know the name. It was Fort Slocum. You just put a sign up within the last, 20 years maybe, I don't know. But anyway, the park is underserved for certain reasons. One, when my daughter was small, we had swings up there, we had concerts up there. I don't know who even goes up there now. The dogs, that's all I see up there now, dogs.
We do have dog walkers. We do have
No,
folks
you have a
using,
lot of dogs that go in that park, period.
we do have folks using the pavilion, the picnic pavilion. And do we do any programs
We do
there?
programming, we had some programming earlier this
I know
spring.
y'all had a few programs, but what my question is, why don't we make it a real park?
So Nick alluded to the management plan that was developed to talk about how we would use these Civil War fortifications. That is a Civil War fortification, a very rich history in fact. Fort Slocum was the first site to fire upon Union Confederate soldiers at the onset of the Civil War that took place right here in Washington, D.C. African American soldiers, USCT soldiers were there. That's some of the programming that we've been doing over the last couple of years or so. But we are looking to do more programming in that park, but not more so in the sense of recreational playground equipment and different things, because as noted in the management plan, we have directions and directives on what we can use these park areas for. Fort Slocum was one of those ones for more passive sort of recreation. People can come into the green space, enjoy the green space, picnic in the green space, but we weren't looking to do the active sort of playground equipment and exercise equipment, more of the more passive sort of recreation, enjoying the picnic pavilion that's there. And again, just having folks come and leisurely use that green space. So each of the sites identified with the Civil War defenses of Washington, whether it's Fort Slocum, Fort Totten, all have a purpose and a desired intent for them. And Fort Slocum was one of those ones that was, again, a very passive sort of recreational area.
And the reason for that, just Kim, if I can add on, is the fact that the fort actually still has earthworks that are existing. And so we protect that area as a cultural resource zone, that we don't want to disturb the earthworks. They're historic, they're within the woods, and we don't want any more uses that could or possibly damage the earthworks.
My question, when can the Park Service do this assessment in the area from New Hampshire Avenue down to Riggs Road on Park Service land?
Okay, so again, the environmental assessment we're talking about does cover that.